Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 6 recap, and a little bit of forward thinking. Eugene makes contact. I got to ask you guys, before we get started, how many people are in a place today where you're absolutely freezing? Because I've seen some of the temperatures all over the place. Yes, we are going to get into The Walking Dead, but our theories are going to heat up with a little bit of Eugene information. So let's jump into it. I want to give a super special shout out to the Patreon Army. Thank you so much for being here and everything that you guys do. We got a few bullet points we want to talk. I see a few people. Me, it's cold. We're in the 30s, man. It's cold everywhere. I know I shouldn't be complaining about being in the 30s because I know a lot of you guys are like, dude, it's 10 degrees here. 30s probably like summertime. But yeah, I mean, when you're getting over a cold and you get more cold weather, it's just, yeah, it's crazy stuff. But hey, let's do some things to try to keep everybody warm. I do want to talk about Eugene making contact, what it could mean for future storylines, and a little bit of something happened that I've been thinking about all day long, which I think could present a problem or a purpose in the future. Because you guys know, I mean, when you don't have a lot of stuff going on, you got to find a purpose on The Walking Dead. So how many people found it interesting that Eugene's conversation when he was setting up the radio was with Nabila? I mean, we have not seen a lot of her lately. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Jerry either, but just out of the blue, the one person that's, walking up there talking to Eugene is Nabila. So, I know that they got to keep the actors happy, but there's other people they could give FaceTime to. Does that worry you a little bit about Jerry? And he was asking her, parlez-vous, Russian? Can she speak Russian? And he also said something really interesting and said that his invite has no expiration date. So I think there's a story here. If you take the Nabila, the fact that she's there and he may get some assistance or some help from her, and then what is it that, and we're assuming it's Stephanie, so we'll use the name Stephanie. What is it that she said was a deal breaker? What did she say would cause her to never, to turn off the radio and never talk to Eugene again? You guys know, if I hear someone else, so I don't know which direction this could go, if it could be an accident, or, maybe she just goes up there and she blurts out something while Eugene's on the radio. But I think that the fact that she's been seen, she's been up there, he gave her that invite, just kind of, just be weary if we see her in the future, that if she pops up and says, hey, Eugene, and man, you just messed it up for me. He's going to freak out a little bit. I was kind of sort of playing that out, how that would happen. Or if, if something happens to Jerry, then maybe she'll be kind of like a partner or, kind of a future nerd. She can help fix radios and stuff, but I'd like to see that. I've also been thinking about look, I think we're too early for the Commonwealth. It's nice that we make contact. It's nice that we have that, but we still got a whisper war to fight. And that comment by Stephanie was too obvious to kind of gloss over. Like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? What's up? Yeah, this is who I am. Oh, by the way, if I hear anybody else, you'll never hear from me again. If that's not obvious writing, that is exactly what's going to happen, then I've not seen obvious writing before. So with that being said, there are going to be some other clues and some hints that I think that they can use while they transition to the Commonwealth. Because, look, she's not going to talk to him, then we're going to have a little amount of time, and then she's going to talk to him again, and, all's kind of forgiven. We got a super chat in the house. We got Valar. What's going on, Valar? And thank you for those sweet comments about my 2Gs. I posted a picture of Grayson and Gabe on the Patreon site today, and I had some really good comments with that, but thank you for that, Valar. Valar says, hello, 99 Army. Kill, Steph, Emmy, Kel, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patrons, channel members, PDL players, and sponsors, and, of course, all the super chatters. And, Valar, we got a new category we need to add to that. The super sticker, I don't even know what we can call them. But there is this brand new thing I do have to remind you guys because YouTube keeps popping up and tells me to remind you guys of it. In addition to super chats like Villar just did, there's these super stickers that I think they're going to be a big hit when we start doing PDL, so you're going to want to tune in for that on Friday night and see some of those things in super stickies. We need like a code name of the people that consistently use the super stickers. Like Crawfish the other day was just, every time I would say something, it was a super sticker comment. But it's good stuff. So let's think of some storylines. If Eugene made contact, there it is. That's cool. So now we see one. We see how it works. This little animated thing. There's probably like 100 of them. But yeah, it's just if you hear something you like, or you just got something on your mind and you got all these thoughts, you can just post a sticker. That is it. I feel like this radio, we get so entrenched in the fact that it's going to be the Commonwealth. I think there's a lot of other things that can happen with this. We've already seen the local chat, right? We see Eugene and Rosita, having that conversation, and I think it needed to be had. There's a little bit of I wouldn't say making up, but there's some new boundaries that need to be established. And I think that chat is healthy. But there's also a whole lot of other channels that you can flip-flop around and just start talking. I don't know if it's going to go as far as Texas, so I don't think we're going to get Fear of the Walking Dead. But I do think that is going to be all over Pennsylvania. We got Tammy Heitzman super chatting. Thank you so much, Tammy. Appreciate that. Like that. Is that a wink? Like a wink or something in the left eye of the... maybe it's animated. It's there, but thank you for that. Appreciate it. I'm struggling with the third P, but doesn't it seem like there's a lot of hints and clues that are leaning us toward Pennsylvania? Like with Rick, with the Commonwealth, with where their base could be. And I'll give you a few of those. One, the skyline for the Rick movie it's said to be Philadelphia. So we got that. Then we make this contact where this girl is from, supposedly Stephanie, she's from Strasburg, Pennsylvania. Now, Strasburg is fairly close. I'm just looking on a map, so some of you are from Pennsylvania. But Strasburg is it's in the vicinity of Philadelphia. So those Pennsylvanians, if Philadelphia is on the east, what major city is all the way on the other side of Pennsylvania? And I think it's probably the second largest city in Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh. Now, we do have cards on the ground that are PPP, and I know it's been said it's a tone, it's a whisper. No, it has nothing to do with the whispers. We've established that. But Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, I need a third P. But what's interesting about that is those circles. If you draw a circle on the state of Pennsylvania, you've got one on the right, you've got one on the left. So I'm just saying, there's a couple. I mean, I'm not going to say it's like Pottsville or something. I mean, it's probably not a small city, but it's just interesting that you've got PPP, you've got the cards. We think that they're in the Pennsylvania area somewhere. We've seen a skyline of Philadelphia. We've got someone from Strasburg. We've got enough clues. They're in Pennsylvania. Rick Grimes is in Pennsylvania. No doubt in my mind. It's not that far away from Virginia. So it's not like Michonne has to, travel cross country. Here's the other thing that is I think a nice potential clue or a nice potential hint. This radio, like if Michonne goes and talks to Eugene and we hear some voices or some hints, or we hear Maggie or something that indicates Rick's still alive, or Michonne should hit the road and go find him. All you have to do is go up and ask Eugene and say, hey, Eugene, I'm about to go look for Rick. If there's clues or hints from the people that you talk to, how far is the range of that radio? Well, current transmission setting, I think that give or take 4 hours. So, he could probably 4 hours north, east, west, south, something. So it could be in Charlotte. No, Charlotte's a little further than that. I don't know, like Raleigh. So he could be in Raleigh, North Carolina. He could be out in the Atlantic Ocean. Nope. He could be in West Virginia or Tennessee, or he could be in Pennsylvania. So a few clues where Maggie would be, where Georgie would be, I think is going to send Michonne on that vision quest to find Rick. And I think she's going north because Eugene is making contact. And I also think that there's going to be some curiosity. And the way one part of the story could relate to another part of the story, Eugene is, he's getting his chat room vibe on, inside scoop, small talk. Only so many things he can talk about. And then Nabila storms in. Eugene, it's time for oh, no, I'm sorry, can't talk to you anymore, Eugene, and everything shuts down. And then now Eugene is probably going to be like, hey, I made some contact with some different people. It has to relate to Michonne in some way or shape, in my mind. That the Eugene, the Commonwealth, the distraction, the shutdown, the quest to find Rick, where they're located, I just don't see it's coincidence that Strasbourg, look, she might be from Strasbourg. It doesn't mean she's still living there. Like, she could be, what do you guys think? She could be in Philadelphia now, right? I mean, it's not that far away. We got Ben Stevenson said, let's vote. Kills Alpha or Eugene is better? Oh, Ben, you got to give me some Daryl Dixon as well, right? Fluff the flamethrower. It's possible that Rick is safe in Philly. They're mean as hell there. They booed Santa Claus. Very, very good. That's pretty good. Yeah, they'll keep him alive. Very well done. And look, I know I'm fishing here a little bit, right? I'm not the PPP. I want it to make sense because when that key card came out, then he said, "What does it mean?" Several people said Scott Gimple knows what it means. So I think there's other people now that don't. Like, it was his deal. It was his secret. So I don't think it's like a widely known thing on The Walking Dead. But we can certainly say that it's nothing. And look, I'm not knocking on people that had the theories out there. I know there are YouTubers that was like PPP's whispers. But 8 years ago, there were no whispers in the area. So the whispers did not take Heath. We know that it was a group that flew in. The key card fell. Heath is with this group. And I think that's another clue. Tom Bugzilla Ferreira. What's up, Tom? Good to see you. I've heard some theories about Sadiq possibly being forced to kill Enid. Certainly, there is rumors and stories, and we're not going to go through that in this particular stream. So what you may have heard or may not have heard, I'm going to ask you guys to table that. This conversation is going to be about Eugene. It's going to be about Eugene's contact and how the Eugene story could affect the overall story of The Walking Dead. There will be additional conversation topics in future streams that we will talk about. I'm going to leave it at that, okay? So if you guys could do me a favor, everybody, keep it reeled in. Keep it with the topic that we're going to focus on. So, as we talked about with Heath, Heath is still out there somewhere. So, my question is Heath a prisoner of war, or is Heath someone who probably changed teams? What are your thoughts on Heath? Because you got Heath out there, you got Jadis out there, you got Rick out there. Now, I also have to tell you, if the three of those are part of the Commonwealth, that's not a bad deal, is it? I mean, there could be worse. If you want people to, and you got Isabella out there as well. Look, if I'm going to call somebody to fly in and help me, and you got Jadis, Isabella, Heath, and Rick, I'm good. I'm good with that. And if this group has sort of traded in their family life vibe for the bigger picture, let me ask you guys this question, because I do want to tie Eugene's contact in with the possible Rick Grimes story. All right, I need everybody here to be Rick Grimes. And I know I've said in the past that if this group that took Rick basically threatened his family and said, you can't go back, you have to take this path, then that's a potential story. But let me give you another potential story. What if you're Rick Grimes and you don't know all this other stuff's going on, and you have the opportunity to, maybe they've sort of given you some information that you might be able to stop all of this from going on. That you're a part of a bigger fight, and maybe that will keep your family safe in the future. Would you guys reside to just going back and hanging out in Alexandria and spending time with Judith and Michonne? Or would you potentially take on this new role and try to fight to keep them alive and provide a future for them? Maybe a dead end that you could go spend 3 or 4 years with them, or a future that you could pave the way for society to live again. Just want to get your thoughts on that. Some are going to say go home. Some are going to say fight for the future. It'll be interesting to see what Rick's options were. I do want to see what his options were. And, people are split on this. Now, some of that thought process comes in because we know the whispers out there. I mean, Rick didn't. If you think about it, at the time Rick died and was taken away, things are relatively calm. There wasn't this big whisper threat that's out there. And Rick is the future. Fight for the right. Fight for the right to party, BK. So here's a couple, if you guys are late joining, just a few things that we've talked about. Eugene's conversation with Rosita. Big Rosita information coming very soon. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Nabila getting some FaceTime coming up there. Eugene and her having a little bit of small talk. You can always come back. You can always help. By the way, do you speak Russian? And, trying to get her involved. Stephanie saying to Eugene, if I hear anybody else, that's it. We don't talk anymore. So we sort of planted that storyline. One thing we haven't touched on, and I think is a big piece of this, if Eugene can't talk to Stephanie and he starts turning the radio dial, that, to me, I think is potentially where Maggie's story could come in, And the more Alpha grows in power, the more likely I think it is for Eugene to be able to contact them and get some reinforcements in there. And it could be at a point now where Alpha is growing and growing some real deceitful plans and strategies that might be a little too much for our group to overtake. Or we potentially could have a Heath contact. We still have not heard from Heath. And I think it's really, well, and it's obvious. I'm assuming there's going to be a main villain for the films. I certainly hope so, Tom. If Rick is just fumbling around and it's backstory and why is he here, we've lived this small time villain, right? You know, we see Atlanta, and then we see Richmond, and then we see Alexandria, and we've got the termites and the governor, and we got these small pockets of people that are villains. That does not fly for the movie, right? Proctor John, Fear the Walking Dead. I mean, you got everything in Walking Dead has been so intimate. Small group, bigger villain dies. Group grows a little bit, another bigger villain. But then if you have like this big group that Rick's a part of and even bigger villains, I think you're absolutely right, Tom. That's what we need to resonate to the big screen. That's the type of action that is going to bring in new Walking Dead fans. Would you guys agree with me that we're very passionate fans, but we do, in the big screen, we need to appeal to a much larger type of audience. It just can't be our core group that has watched for 10 years. It's got to be action and adventure, and new fans are going to want to walk in and see something, a bigger threat, a bigger enemy, more firepower, all of those things that are going to be too big to show on television. I mean, Abe was probably as big as we got, right? He could walk around with bazookas and you know, RPGs, all of those things. I think the movies, we're going to see a lot more of that. We're going to see like more special effects, more explosions, more evil. And to do that, no offense, because I love Judith Grimes, it can't be about Rick wanting to get back and see Judith. It's got to be about Rick wanting to take over territories and help and miniguns. There you go, Dark Star. Lots of stuff. Not just this. We need the intimacy on the television show. We need the mindless, blowing things up, action and adventure on the big screen. And that's why it's so important for Rick to not be bogged down with all the things that are going on back home. Thank you, Villar. Appreciate that big super sticker thing. Thumbs up. I love it. I love these things. They're like attention getters. Not just super chats, but you see, you know, things moving. But that transition, and the writers can still satisfy both groups, because all they have to do is you hear a voice that remotely sounds like Rick and they can't get in touch with it, and we're going to go nuts. If Eugene is turning that dial, you talking to me? And you get some Rick Grimes in the background, and then he can't, you know, maybe can't get in touch with him. He's going to go nuts, like panic, Michonne, listen to, you know, whatever. I think that's all the incentive she needs. We've seen Michonne in a couple scenes. We know she's heartbroken. She will drop everything on a dime and get out there and look for Rick. And exactly, Tracy Bledsoe's like, I think all of us will. All of us are going to be going nuts. So, more to come. I'm going to give a little bit more thought to the PPP. I can see some of this stuff playing out, but there's still a few things as a group that we're going to have to get together and funnel. So, as you guys know, I do have to make an announcement, everybody here, and I'm going to ask for your complete confidence right now. Please don't blurt out things. Enough people are going to do that when they watch the playback. There is big, huge spoiler news that is out there. We are going to discuss that in our 9:30 stream. even if you don't like spoilers, I would strongly recommend you participate in this stream. I'm not going to say it here, but it is something that we've talked about. It is going to be central to the rest of the story. I don't think you're going to be able to stay away from the information over the next couple weeks. So let me leave it at that. If you want to try to avoid it for the next 2 or 3 days, we're going to talk about it tonight. And I think it's going to be something that you're going to want to be a part of. You're going to want to talk about. It is really neat information. But if you don't want to watch for the next couple days, I fully understand it. Tomorrow we will do bold predictions, and it will take in some of what we're going to talk about tonight as well. So absolutely, as you guys know, there's a couple things that are floating around out there. We're not going to give the step-by-step of everything that happens. There's information that's out there, and we're going to funnel the information that's out there, and we're going to add a little bit more to it. So I think it'll be a very fun stream. With that being said, I am going to close this stream down. I will ask everybody to be here at 9:30 tonight if you want to hang out and talk about the spoiler news. I think I've got something that's going to make a lot of sense for everybody that is not included in the spoiler news. So more to come with that. That's all I can say at this point. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here for the first shot. Be back here 9:30 for a super spoiler episode. Look forward to seeing hopefully all of you here. If you want to avoid it, be my guest, but I think it's going to be very hard to avoid this information. So thanks, everybody. I'll see you at 9:30. Special shout out to the patrons, PDL players, PDL sponsors, Green Team, Super Chatters, Super Stickers, moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kels, and the rest of you. Get out of here now. Don't hang around because people are going to pop in the stream at the last minute. We'll talk about it in about an hour and a half. See you then. Peace.